So it's finally been confirmed, everybody. Lawmakers in the House of Representatives have officially passed a brand new stimulus relief package. Now, this plan is going to provide Americans across the nation with extra crisis relief assistance. So you want to make sure to watch until the end of the video to find out the most important stimulus check Social Security news. You definitely, folks, don't want to miss out on this. So the House of Representatives passed a $55 billion bill that will provide assistance to people, to Americans, restaurants, and small businesses that have struggled because of the crisis. Lawmakers approved the measure in a 223 to 203 vote, with only about a handful of Republicans backing it. And a large chunk of the bill, $42 billion, would actually replenish the Restaurant Revitalization Fund. And that's a grant program launched as a result of the American Rescue Plan, which President Biden signed into law last year. And now, nearly 300,000 restaurants and bars applied for grants through the program last year, according to the SBA, but only a third of applicants received relief. The legislation would actually provide $13 billion for other businesses affected by the crisis, and would establish oversight and reporting requirements to ensure grants are awarded properly and to verify the use of funding. And Democratic Representative Earl Blauner, the main sponsor of the bill, and Democratic Representative Dean Phillips said today that more than 80% of restaurants that didn't receive grants have reported they're on the verge of permanent closure, citing a survey from the Independent Restaurant Coalition. And not only that, everybody, but listen to this. They have said that sources claim 90,000 restaurants and bars have closed since the crisis started more than 2 years ago. And that's very disappointing, folks, because we want to see President Biden, the Democrats, and the Republicans all send out the much-needed stimulus payments. People cannot wait forever for this. And according to the Small Business Association, but it's unclear right now whether the Democrats and the evenly split Senate will be able to win at least 10 Republicans to overcome the 60-vote threshold. Plus, they need to end any potential filibuster and then pass the measure. Economists have also said that it is likely Republicans will agree to the bill this month. That's according to the Small Business Administration, which handles the fund. Restaurants and other eligible businesses can receive funding equal to their crisis-related revenue loss. And that's up to $10 million per business and no more than $5 million per physical location. In addition to restaurants and bars, eligible businesses include food trucks and bakeries. House Democrats defended the proposal as the more appropriate way to help struggling businesses. The House Small Business Chair called the new $13 billion fund an industry-neutral relief program for the small businesses most impacted by the crisis, rather than picking losers and winners. What do you think about this bill, everybody? Now, the Senate has also proposed their own version of this. The restaurant relief portion of the House and Senate bills are very similar, despite a $2 billion gap. To prevent another issue on funds running dry, both bills stipulate grants will be reduced to equal percentages if there is not enough to provide full grants to all applicants. And now lawmakers want to boost the child tax credit payments to help American families this year, as the inflation rate and gas prices soar. Last year, the child tax credit got a lot of press for its major enhancement. But there's another lesser-known credit that rose substantially for the 2021 tax year, the Child Independent Care Credit. The Child Independent Care Credit lets parents who pay for child care so they can work claim a portion of their expenses. In 2021, parents could claim a portion of up to $8,000 in child care costs for one child, or a portion of up to $16,000 in child care costs for 2 or more children. Another portion families can claim depends on their income, and it maxes out at 50% in 2021. But what this means is that some eligible parents who paid for childcare last year may be eligible for an $8,000 tax credit courtesy of the Child Independent Care Credit. What's even better is that the Child Independent Care Credit was made fully refundable for 2021, just like the Child Tax Credit, and so a family with no tax liability can still collect up to $8,000 in full.
Look forward to offering those 2 roll call votes. The first motion would instruct the conference committee not to provide $53 billion to the highly profitable microchip industry without protections for the American people. The second motion would instruct conferees not to provide a $10 billion bailout to Blue Origin, a space company owned by Jeff Bezos, the second wealthiest person in America, who is also the owner of Amazon. Amazon is a company which in a given year pays nothing, $0 in federal income taxes, after making billions in profits And by the way, in a given year, Mr. Bezos himself, one of the wealthiest people in the country, has paid nothing in federal income taxes despite being worth nearly $200 billion. Let me be very clear. Mr. Bezos has enough money to buy a very beautiful $500 million yacht. Looks very nice to me. Not that I know much about yachts, but it does look very nice. Mr. Bezos has enough money to purchase a $23 million mansion with 25 bathrooms. Not quite sure you need 25 bathrooms, but that's not my business. And here is that mansion. So, no, count me in as somebody who does not think that the taxpayers of this country need to provide Mr. Bezos a $10 billion bailout to fuel his space hobby. When all is said and done, both of these motions, the one on $53 billion for the microchip industry.
Principles. If you live in Florida, you could receive an additional $2,000 stimulus check or $1,000 stimulus check, depending on your job. If you live in Georgia, you could also get $1,000 stimulus checks. If you live in Maine, you can receive up to $825, up to $285 if you are a Maine resident. And also Maryland, Marylanders can expect to receive a check of $300. If you live in New Mexico, you can get up to $750 of a stimulus check. This is as long as you didn't qualify for federal crisis stimulus payments, all done in the past. But let's not forget this, 36 million Americans are still facing poverty, as Congress has not reinstated the expanded monthly child tax credit payments. For the last 6 months, 36 million families, folks, have been receiving these monthly checks from the IRS.
All right, you happy? All right. She ends up paying the same amount into the Social Security Trust Fund as he does. Okay, so he's paying 6.2%. She's going to pay a much smaller percentage.
If President Biden's bill is passed, families will receive a child tax credit payment this January. But the bad news is that the Build Back Better bill is still in limbo. It's hanging in the balance. It's so disappointing to see that lawmakers are not trying their best to get these relief payments reinstated. Although the child tax credit payments have temporarily stopped, grocery prices still haven't. The reality is that the payments have really helped millions of families stay afloat. And it cannot be paused right now, especially as the crisis continues to worsen. In 2021, the enhanced program was projected to increase consumer spending by $27 billion.
All of them here. New York in this bill gets $11.6 billion.